Hey everybody, it's John King. It is Friday, the 18th of July, and I am coming to you lively recorded. So I am still down because of my broken ankle, and so my studio hookup and ability to do these live is just hampered, and it's easier for me to do it recorded. I did make it downstairs to my basement to get into the studio, but don't have all the same hookups because we moved some things around to try and make it work. So anyway, bear with me. Appreciate your understanding. We'll get back once I get back up on my feet. So here's what's going on. First of all, I have a second segment that I'm going to transition to that is going to talk all about AI-powered real estate searching. If you are buying a home or thinking about buying a home and you're saying, hey, should I be using AI to help me with that? Or what's the right or wrong way to use AI? You're going to want to stick around for that part because I'm going to talk thoroughly about what AI means in your home search and how to use it. Before I get into that, let's just quickly talk about the market. So interest rates are volatile. We've got still a lot of unknowns happening this month when it comes to the inflation reports have been a little bit up and down. Interest rates are pushing up over the last week. Not a lot, but there's pressure on it going up. There's all eyes on the end of the month and the Federal Reserve's meeting that happens on the last Tuesday and Wednesday. I think it's the 29th and 30th. That is the big days that we're going to see. Is the Fed going to start lowering interest rates? And do not misunderstand. If the Fed starts lowering interest rates, it does not mean mortgage rates come down. As a matter of fact, there's a big argument that if the Fed says we're going to lower interest rates, it's because Powell is giving in to Trump, which means that the Federal Reserve is no longer independent and that, in fact, the Federal Reserve will cave when the president pushes them. And that's bad news for long-term interest rates. The Federal Reserve's independence, the ability for the Federal Reserve to act on its own and make decisions that are in the best interest of the economy, is in the best interest of the economy. The Federal Reserve is doing their best. They're guessing. They might be wrong, but their focus is not about politics. Their focus is not about anything other than the economy and what they think it's going to take to keep jobs high, keep lots of people employed, and to keep inflation low. Those are the only two things they're allowed to focus on and nothing else. So if they lower rates, there's a concern because Powell has been beaten up by Trump. Now they're talking about beating him up over repairs that they're working on and a renovation of the Federal Reserve building. And they're trying to find any reason to get Powell out or to convince Powell to lower interest rates. So now if Powell lower rates, it looks like he's giving in to Trump, which means he's not disconnected from politics, but instead entrenched in politics. And that will raise long-term interest rates. So we're in a really weird time. I can make a whole nother argument about why when Powell starts lowering rates, long-term rates will go down. But the most important thing to remember is the Federal Reserve only controls what money costs overnight. One day. That's it. That's all they control. And so the Federal Reserve doesn't control where mortgage rates go because mortgage rates are 30-year loans. It influences it, but it can influence it in the wrong way. And so there's a big concern about what's going to happen at the end of the month. And depending upon which argument you want to believe, if the Fed stays put, then that might be the safest thing. I think we're going to have some stability if the Fed stays put. If the Fed lowers interest rates at the end of this month, I think we're going to see mortgage rates move, but they may not be down. Okay, it could move down, it could move up. It's about how the market perceives it. It's about what the Fed says. It's about what Trump says. Lots of moving parts here, lots of things that we have to pay attention to. So stay tuned and I'll help guide you through each of these steps. All right, aside from that, an update on inventory. It continues to be a good market for buyers. If you are a seller, you need to be aggressive. You need to be aggressive in your marketing, stage your home, get it priced well, not super high. Understand you're likely to get requests for concessions. That's the state of the market. Now, if you got a great home and it's well priced, you might not have to give any concessions. You might sell over asking price. But I'm seeing more and more homes that are selling under asking price. Part of it is the market is softening and prices are coming down. Part of it is sellers aren't being realistic about that fact and they're keeping their list price high. Okay, I mentioned this in the previous few weeks. As a buyer, it's a great opportunity to negotiate. And if you can, don't negotiate on price first, negotiate on seller credits. Negotiate on terms. Have the seller pay all of the title and escrow fees, give them their full price, but have them pay all of the fees that they could pay for, even if it's not a seller credit. So that's a tip that you can use to help make your offer look stronger, even though it is weaker, even though it is benefiting you over the seller. So it's a really good opportunity right now to be looking at buying a home, because a lot of your peers are afraid. They're not sure what's going to happen, and they're afraid to take a step. And the truth is, we don't know what's going to happen, especially given what I just said about interest rates. But the reality is, you've got to look at what your personal economic situation is right now. And if you're in a strong economic situation, you feel confident about your job, you feel confident about the future of your income, you feel confident that you're going to be stable and staying in this home for the next 5 years. Who cares if the market undulates a little bit between now and then? You're finding the right home for your family and getting that stability and security for them. And that's a big piece of this, that in a market where the sellers are in charge, it's hard to get that stability and security, because it's hard to even get an offer accepted. So take advantage of the gift that you are being given right now. Speaking of a gift, AI is a major gift. We're all at some level or another playing with it, or if you're not, you need to start playing with it. But I'm going to transition now to a video. It's going to be a video I recorded a couple minutes ago. So it's going to transition from here to that video. Check out that video. Stay on. You don't have to click anything. It's just going to start playing immediately, and talk about you as a buyer or you as a realtor, and how you can think about using AI the right way in your home buying journey. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for that second segment that's going to start right now. So here we are. We're in middle of 2025, and all we hear about is AI this and AI that. And the question is, how do I use AI as a buyer trying to buy a home? How does that impact me in my home buying process? Should I be using AI as a home buyer? Well, let me walk you through a complete tutorial of how to think about AI when you're in the home buying process. So this is designed both for home buyers, but also for real estate agents looking and thinking about how your home buyers should be using AI in real estate searching, and how you should help them through that home buying process. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you is, AI is not going to replace the advice of a professional. AI is super, super smart, and it can really dive in to get good information if you know the right questions to ask. The problem is that sometimes it gets on a track and it goes down the wrong road. But more importantly, is what I'm finding recently is a lot of people are using it really as a replacement to a Google search, a replacement to a web search. And so you ask it a question. For example, a great question that doesn't produce great results is to say, what are interest rates right now on mortgages? Or what's a good interest rate on a mortgage? And it's going to get that information from the web search. It's going to get that same information from where you would find the information if you went on Google yourself. And you're going to get a litany of different responses. And the problem is, and I've said this before in different videos, but I want to make it really clear now, the criteria to determine an interest rate is super specific to that person's scenario. It also is specific to how much money you're putting as a down payment, what your credit score is, what type of loan you're doing. But most important, it has to do with the fees that you are paying. And a lot of online rate quotes look super low, and they are. But when you get into the fine print, it's because they're charging you an excessive amount of fees. You're paying a bunch of money in fees up front to get a lower interest rate, but most people don't understand that. And so you end up deciding what lender you want to use with the wrong reason, with the wrong criteria in mind, and it makes you end up being at a loss because you have the wrong information. Now, I understand the ability to make sure you're not getting taken care of. And I think that research is part of that. Also finding somebody you trust, getting good recommendations, checking out people's reviews, which is actually a really good way to use AI. Help me find reviews on this company. Because reviews aren't just on Yelp. I've got 700 reviews, an average of 4.9. It's through a company called experience.com. And they verify our clients. They only send it to our past clients, so it can't be staged. And they are all validated past clients. But if you just search on a regular website, you might not be able to find it. And so you can use AI to help you with that kind of a thing, to get feedback on somebody, to find out, hey, am I trusting the right person? What do people say about this person? That's a great way to validate you're working with the right lender, to validate you're working with the right realtor. Okay. Do not use it to search to find interest rates. Okay. You can, just like you can go online, but you're not getting any better information than a Google search. And it's really poor information because it's not accurate to your criteria. Now, a good place to go is Freddie Mac every single Thursday puts out an interest rate that says this is the average interest rate. Problem is, it was the average from 3 days ago because they polled lenders on Monday to publish the information on Thursday. But if you want an average, that's a great average. It says right now the average is 6.75. Remember, the average means some are below and some are above. So depending upon your criteria, if you're within that range of, a 0.25% below to a 0.25% above on average, that is spot on to where you should be, especially because we're 3 days later and the rates change every single day. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. But I want to take a deeper dive into some things that I really think you should be using AI to help you in your home search. And it is creative searches for specific types of homes, specific situations. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, you may be in a situation where you're like, hey, I am searching for a home that has this really, really specific criteria. Now, your real estate agent can help you search for that, but you can help your realtor. The truth is, home search is not why you hire a real estate agent. It used to be 20, 25 years ago, it used to be that realtors were the only way to get the search to figure out what homes are out there. The truth is, realtors put you on drip campaigns, automatic searches all the time. But those searches only have limited criteria, and the AI using ChatGPT can give you really, really specific criteria. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples right now. So let's dive in to my first example. So there is a new tool that ChatGPT released yesterday. Literally, I'm recording this on Friday, July 18th. This was released on Thursday, July 17th, 2025. It is called Agent Mode. It's amazing. Agent Mode allows for ChatGPT to open up its own web browser in its own machine, not in your machine, and the AI controls the web browser and does web search and research on your behalf on anything that you want. So I ran 2 of those this morning. You can click the link down below in the description and you'll actually be able to see what I'm about to show you, but let's share with you what I'm looking at. So let's do this. All right, so I'm going to hit play because this was previously recorded. And I said, hey, I want you to, by the way, ChatGPT records all of this stuff. So this is literally just shared through the link in ChatGPT. And it says, I want you to do a home search for all homes currently listed for sale in the city of Roseville, California, that have at least 2,000 square foot and at least 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. That's a pretty common criteria for searching. That you can do through Zillow. You can do that through Redfin. There's nothing special about that. But the next part is going to be a lot harder to do through those search portals, especially if you're trying to find something that's a needle in a haystack. And so you say, I want it to have a decent backyard for the kids to play, and it needs to be within walking distance of an elementary school, less than a 15-minute walk. Put them into a spreadsheet with the name of the school, walking distance, address, list price, days on market, and agent's name. Now, you might not want the agent's name because if you have your own realtor, you shouldn't be calling the listing agent, but maybe you want to get that so you can give it to your realtor. And now it says, okay, cool, I'm going to set up my desktop. I'm going to hit play and I'll show you what this thing does. And it starts thinking behind the scenes and it says, well, I got to search for all this stuff. And so I'm going to put all this together. Cool. So now that it knows what it needs to do, I'm going to skip forward a little bit and it actually opens up a web page. My hands are off. Okay. I wasn't touching this. This was all done through ChatGPT, and it starts searching for all of these homes and it's talking itself through every step of the process. I literally moved on to something else. I closed this tab and I let it run on its own. So I can set up a search criteria. If you're a realtor, this will be a game changer for you, for your clients, because you can set it up or you can share this with your client that you did all of this research to find exactly that home. Now, the realtor then is really here to help you to negotiate, to make sure that there aren't alternative homes that didn't show up in the search that you should be considering, to help make sure you understand the disclosures and everything that you're signing. And oh, by the way, did I say negotiate? The realtor's job, very, very important part of their job, is their negotiation skills. So don't dismiss the fact that, hey, I found the property by myself. I don't need a real estate agent. That is not true. Now, can you do it yourself? Sure. But it's just like you can go to court yourself and represent yourself in a legal battle. You can. Is it a good idea or not? Who knows? Okay. So this went through and did all of this work, and it went through and it set the minimum square feet. And it did more searches. And now it's looking at schools and it's trying to figure out which schools can be nearby. And so it's trying to now grab properties that are near those particular schools. And it's done all of this work to try and figure out what's the right properties that I should put on this list. And then I get to the end and it's done all of this work and it worked for 30 minutes on my behalf. I literally just wrote this right here and it did all of the searching, all of the web browsing, all of it on my behalf. And now it gives me an Excel spreadsheet. It gives me all of the information. It even says, hey, by the way, I based estimated walking times on about 20 minutes per mile. And so if I wanted to be less than 15 minutes of a walk, then it determined it had to be a certain distance from the school. And it gave me a complete spreadsheet with all of the information I was looking for. I can download the spreadsheet. I can make it bigger and view all of these on the spreadsheet. So this just did all of the work for me. I could make it a super advanced search. So here's one that worked for 30 minutes. Here's a different example. This one, I'm going to teach you something else. There's a little bit of a ChatGPT class as well. In this one, I actually started out with a search criteria in mind. And it says, hey, I'm an investor. So no longer a first-time home buyer, I'm an investor. I'm looking for good turnkey investment homes in the state of Tennessee and Arkansas. I need to have a rental income that covers the mortgage payment, assuming average taxes and insurance, assuming 20% down and a rate of 8%. I want properties that are no more than $300,000 price, and it needs to be within a 30-minute commute to a major city. And then I told it all of the information I wanted. And then I thought for a second, I said, wait a second. I could write my own prompt, just like I did over here, where I went on this one and I simply wrote my own criteria right here, where I said, hey, this is what I want you to do. And I told it, go. And it started doing the work. But I also could ask ChatGPT to rewrite the criteria for me to make it better. And so what it did is I said, hey, this is going to be an agent mode search in ChatGPT. So help me improve this prompt so that agent mode can run it as a one-shot prompt. Agent mode, for the $20 a month plan, you get, I think, 40 prompts into agent mode. Well, a prompt means if I ask it to do something and then later on I realize I wasn't clear enough and I have to revise or give it further instructions, that's 2 uses of the prompt. And then if I have to give it more instructions, that's 3, and I only have 40 in a month. So I want a one-shot prompt. So let's have AI help me create the perfect prompt. And so that's what I said. Now I used a reasoning model. So 4.0 is the normal model. 0.3 is a reasoning model. Let me show you really quickly what I mean by that. So if I go over here, sorry, let's pull up. All right, come on, John. Here we go. So if I pull up regular ChatGPT, this is the same things we were just looking at. This is the same actual chat that I was just showing you. This is my version, obviously, not the shared version. And I said I want a one-shot prompt. Right up here in the top, you get to pick, when you do a chat, you get to pick what model you want. 4.0 is what defaults. Everybody uses it. But using one of these ones that use the word reasoning, they think different. They think longer. And so I said, hey, I want you to use a reasoning prompt. And so it thought for 16 seconds and it created this one-shot prompt for me. And it gave really, really specific instructions, way better instructions than I personally could have given. So don't try and master how to talk to AI. Ask AI, help me write a better prompt to talk to AI, especially when it's something like deep research or something like agent mode, where you get a limited number of attempts. Make sure it gives you a one-shot attempt. And so this went through and gave me very, very specific options. I'll show you over here in this one that, hey, okay, so it was thinking for 16 seconds. It created this one-shot prompt. You can click the link down below. You can see all of this stuff, okay? And so I said, please run it. And so I didn't have to paste the prompt again. I just literally said, please run it. And I clicked on agent mode. So in the actual tab down here, there is a button called agent mode. And so I have to hit tools and I have to hit agent mode. So I have 390 left because I'm on the $200 plan. But most people are on the $20 plan and they have like 40 of a month. Okay. So you got to click on agent mode. So that's what I did is I clicked on agent mode and it started running. I simply said, run this task based on the instructions above. And I clicked on agent mode and it started running and it worked for 30 minutes and it's navigating all of this stuff, trying to find these properties. It went through all of these steps to try and find stuff for me, looking at Zillow, looking at different places in the real estate market. And if I skip all the way to the end, it says, okay, I've gathered a few candidates for you that meet your criteria. Here's what we're looking at. Click this link right here to download the spreadsheet. I click the link and it opens it up as a spreadsheet for me. You'll have a copy of this down below. You can check it out, okay? So my point is you can use AI to help you with search way better than you could do it on the web. Way better than what you can do with Zillow, way better than what you can do with homes.com or any of those other websites if you're looking for something hyper specific, if you want it to run certain calculations. So this is something that a great realtor and a great lender can help you with. Now, I'm interviewing to be your great lender, and I have a lot of great realtors that I can connect you with. But it's about us knowing what criteria to put in here. Because anybody can say, oh, I used AI to figure it out, but garbage in, garbage out. You ask for the wrong stuff. If I didn't know what interest rate to put in there, if I didn't know what terms to put in there, it would have given me the wrong output. And so it's about using, it's a super powerful tool, but it's about using it properly. And you've got to make sure that you're using it properly for your home search. But in this AI empowered world, we can do way more with AI than we ever could have before. You just have to know to use it the right way, and you have to have great professionals that understand how to use AI and understand how to help you get the most out of your AI powered home search. Hope this has been helpful. Remember, I'm interviewing for the job to be your lender. So if you need any help, please reach out. I look forward to taking care of you. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.